Crease on Radio 2000 with Holiday. All right, it's coming up to 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. That means it's time, as usual, to join Geniene and Alan for Short Circuit.
Hi, I'm Geniene Burbeck.
And I'm Alan Alfeld.
And welcome to Short Circuit.
Yeah, we're back live.
It's
Once
quite incredible,
again.
hey? Once again.
What a beautiful day today has been, eh? Don't you think? It was just awesome. I got up before the sun rose, got into work. Sorry I left so early, babes. But looking left out of the window, I saw the sun rising. I knew it was going to be a beautiful day.
Well, I must tell you, today is my son's 7th birthday.
Oh, Matthew.
7 years ago, my son was born. Happy
Awesome.
birthday, Matthew.
Happy birthday, Matt. Hope you've had a great
I hope he
day.
has a nice day. And you know what? June's a winter month, so we've decided that the whole of June's going to cover e-commerce. Because why? Because it's winter, we sit in front of the fire, we have our laptops.
Some of us have our laptops.
Some of us have our laptops. Others write.
Yes.
So we're going to cover e-commerce. I think e-commerce is a nice
That's
title
great.
for this month.
We just get that long cord to the telephone extension and we order all sorts of
That's
things.
right. And today we've got some really exciting guests because we're going to talk about e-commerce and mobile technology. But before we do that, we've got another guest in the studio.
Also very exciting.
Stephen Lang, Executive Director of SABCnews.com. And before we move on to Stephen to talk to you about some exciting things that happen in the newsroom, we've got our service levels.
Yes, good and awful.
They're my favourites.
Jolly awful.
We have service under construction. For me, I think this week was Dell. The plastic clips under my computer are broken, so my CD drive keeps falling out. They tell me it's not covered under warranty, but the CD drive is. So my CD drive keeps falling out. They keep replacing it, but they won't replace the plastic clip underneath the notebook. So I eventually wrote to the marketing guy today and said, you know what, I'm sure it's costing you more money to keep sending your guy to replace the parts that keep falling out than it would be to replace the plastic clip. So when I phoned in, they said, you need to speak to Maureen. So I said, well, tell her to phone me. No, says the guy, she doesn't phone anyone, you have to phone her. She only takes calls, not makes them.
Good customer relations there, Del.
Absolutely. Isn't that incredible? I mean, in this day and age, and what have yours been? That's been my only one.
Well, I'm still struggling with Santam to get a check for my excess. It's been 7 months now that I've been waiting for a small little check of 1,500 Rand to pay the excess on my car that was bumped by some other person. 7 months.
That is terrible.
Santam. Shit. I tell you, as soon as I get my check, as soon as they pay for the damages,
Are we going to party?
For the damage, I'm going to change insurance companies.
Oh, I thought maybe we'd go and
No,
party.
definitely. I'm going to change it. The service has been appalling. My broker's service has been even worse. Okay. And Standard Bank service for me this week, Tracy, oy vey.
Well, I must tell you, I had a good experience with Standard Bank. Bank, I hope you're listening. I had a good experience with you. I know I always put you first, second and third for bad service, but in today's, they get first for good service. Jenny, Jeffrey and Tony yesterday took care of, I knew nothing about applying for a guarantee against buying a house. They sorted it all out for me. They helped me with my check. They couldn't do enough for me, and I was Standard Bank Benmore, and today I was going to move to First Rand, to First National. And after that kind of service, I just thought I can't do that. And they were just really stunning. They were Standard Bank Benmore. Vincent in Merchant Place was a security guard. I had to drop off some e-bucks things, and I couldn't find anywhere to park. He came up to my window, said, not a problem. Why don't I stand here at your car, double park? You go in and take your stuff. Do you need some help? Organised a guy to help me. He was fantastic. I said to him when I left, what is your name? He said, Vincent, still grinning from ear to ear.
Awesome.
And I thought that was such a nice thing to happen, you know.
And
Linda Inwood of Nashua was fantastic with my cell phone, me and my cell phone. And she and I just have a giggle on the phone every time because I always seem to get her voicemail mixed up.
Okay.
And Vinod of Hi-Fi Corporation, he organised a vacuum cleaner for a friend of mine that usually takes 3 weeks. He did it in 3 days.
Brilliant.
I think that was great. Thank you.
Standard Bank Benmore, well done. Standard Bank Killarney, you suck.
And I must say, as a last one, Stair Chemical finally found Tekken 3 for me for my son's PlayStation for his present today.
That's a brilliant game, man.
Isn't it wonderful?
Wow.
And my son has been waiting with bated breath, and this morning he woke up and he said, Mummy, where's my present? You promised would be at the end of my bed. And I said, well, as it
Sorry,
would have
darling.
the container didn't kind of offload it.
Oi.
So he said, not a problem. So when I phoned Paul today from Stay Kiniko, I said, Paul, it's my son's birthday today. Is there any chance I can get it today? And he said, look, it's only going to be offloaded this afternoon. But you know what? I'll put together something really nice for him to make it all up. And I think that was the nicest thing for somebody to do. He didn't have to do that,
No, absolutely not.
Just giving it to me was great.
Well, Matthew's going to be over the moon.
He's going to.
Had to wait an extra day, but it'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
And later on, we'll be opening the lines for discussion, and the most interesting caller will receive a phone from Ericsson. It's a T20.
T20, yeah, that looks like a chick.
Thank you. It's called a chick phone because it's the best design in the world. And talking about winners, we're going to be calling all our previous winners and confirming their numbers tomorrow. Please, if you're a previous winner, we finally sorted out all the security surrounding the prizes. We've been really concerned about that. Somebody will be calling you tomorrow. Please ensure you have an email address to give us so that when you can send your details to the supplier that offers the prize. Those of you that have experienced problems in the past, please email me on GENIENE@iafrica.com or l@freelance.co.
It's al@iafrica.com.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's the easy one.
Oh, good.
al@iafrica.com.
And please, if you've had problems in the past, we'd really like it. And talking about problems, we're going to introduce you to Stephen Lang,
The news, it's been depressing lately.
the executive
Is
director.
that a problem that the news is depressing?
Yes.
Tell us, how does sabcnews.com fit in with internet and all that
Okay, let me talk to you a little bit about it. Last week at the computer fair, a lot of people asked us, how does the news work? How do you get the news for the website? And this is a perfectly legitimate question. The answer to it is quite straightforward, really. We repurpose SABC material from television and from radio. So we've got people that sit and listen to the radio, sit and listen to the television. But we get a little bit sneaky sometimes in that we get the stuff before it goes out on television. For example, sometimes we get feeds coming in from overseas, feeds that come in from Cape Town. If there's a news item that's fed through from Cape Town in the afternoon, we can have pre-access to the whole thing, and we write up the news even before television. So if you want to really know what's going on even before the 8 o'clock news, just log on to sabcnews.com.
With your coffee.
With your coffee and everything. And let me tell you an interesting example that happened some weeks ago. We all remember the incident of Sarah Hoyer, I think the pronunciation is, who was brutally stabbed with a screwdriver while she was on holiday in Cape Town.
That was terrible.
It was a terrible incident.
It was filmed, though, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
It was filmed. Let me explain to you how it was filmed and what actually happened that day. It was during Morning Live. And while the Morning Live program is on the air on SABC2, they have a cameraman who sits on top of the SABC building and does what they call beauty shots. And just, these beautiful shots of the sea and the waves and everything like that. And while the guy was sitting on the roof of the building there, he noticed a disturbance on the side, saw what was going on, moved his camera across, hoping that the producers on air would flip a switch and put that on the air. We could have a mugging live on the air. Sounds crude, doesn't it? I mean,
It sounds bloody awful.
but journalists are vultures, and everyone hates journalists. So I mean,
No,
that's
we quite liked, aren't we?
Yes.
I think so. We don't
We're
receive
loved.
hate mail.
okay. I should speak for myself in
Yes.
that case, right? Okay. So what happened is the cameraman, as a good journalistic cameraman, he trained the camera on the disturbance there, hoping that it would be going out live on air. But what he didn't know, and what he could not have known, is that while that incident was actually happening, a commercial was going out on Morning Live. So what was being broadcast was a commercial. And you can't, there's one thing that is sacred on television: do not ever break into a commercial. These are the guys that pay the rent. So he wasn't too worried then, because he thought, okay, well, somebody will be recording this either in the studios in Cape Town or the studios in Johannesburg, or somebody would be recording that. But as it happened, it's one of those things that slipped between the cracks, and no one was recording it. The only people that were recording it happened to be the people on sabcnews.com at the website, who routinely record everything on Morning Live, but they don't record the output. In other words, we don't record the commercials, we record what's going in.
That's incredible.
So it was a brilliant case of sabcnews.com saving the day, and then we recorded it and took it running upstairs to Morning Live. But we, of course, made sure that we put it on our website even before Morning Live got near
They
it.
saved her.
Yes.
Yes. She recovered. She did have to go into
Was that
hospital.
because you reported it early enough for the police to take care of it?
I don't think that sabcnews.com can take credit for saving her, but I think that we can take credit for recording the incident, and the SABC in general can take credit for the fact that the perpetrator was apprehended and the gentleman was sent to jail.
It's all the more reason why people should go onto your website.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we get a lot of material that the SABC produces that there isn't space for in the television bulletins. There isn't space for on a radio current affairs program, for example. And we make use of this material. Sometimes incidents happen that are not in slots when the normal programs would use them. For example, also about 6 weeks ago, there was an incident where 7 people were crushed to death at Park Station. A terrible incident, but it happened late on a Friday night, and there weren't any news bulletins scheduled, there weren't any current affairs program scheduled. But sabcnews.com, we are on the air all the time, so we made full use of that material, and we were able to break that to the nation and to the world.
Do you have a section on that website where people can tell you news that's currently happening? In other words, an inbox?
There's a Contact Us section.
Okay.
So you just click on the Contact Us section, and there's a feedback and a webmaster button that you can click on, and it comes straight on to me.
I want to know, do you get feed from Reuters, or do you use the internet to get a lot of information as well?
Most of our material actually comes from SABC.
Okay.
SABC radio news and television news. We do use Reuters, particularly for international news. We have an agreement with them that allows us to publish text items. We're not allowed to, for example, for a whole lot of legal reasons, we're not allowed to use their pictures, but we use their text-based services.
Okay. That's interesting. That's really. And what is your contact details, Stephen, for the SABC website?
Okay, langss@sabcnews.com, and that's it. Very easy.
The website itself?
The website, also very easy, www.sabcnews.com.
And you're going to be joining us every week to tell us some interesting anecdotes, things that happen in the SABC newsroom that nobody gets to hear about.
Yeah, I'll give you the inside story.
That would be great. Are you going to publish them the next day?
Well, that depends.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Stephen.
When we come back after the break, we're going to introduce the first of our e-commerce and m-commerce guests for this month on the subject of mobile internet usage as a growing trend that PricewaterhouseCoopers believes has unlimited potential to change the face of business. I'm Geniene Burbeck.
And I'm Alan Alfeld.
Coming to you live from Short Circuit, only on Radio 2000.
And as June is a winter month and we covering e-commerces, most of our shopping and banking will be done on the internet, no doubt. We have the most exciting people to talk about that subject here in the studio.
Good, Alan. I'm Geniene Burbeck.
And I'm Alan Alfeld, believe it or not.
And we're coming to you live from Short Circuit on Radio 2000.
Yeah. So hello, Laura van Rooyen from Ericsson.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
And Kobus Diebenberg, IT Director and Director of IT and Telecoms from PricewaterhouseCoopers. Welcome.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Excellent.
I just want to take a minute so that each of you can introduce yourselves and to where you fall into the mobile internet e-commerce. I think you call it m-commerce, which is mobile e-commerce, for want of a better phrase. Laura, if you can just tell us something about where you fit in. Where's Ericsson in this on this platform?
Yes, with pleasure, Geniene. Thanks. As mentioned, I work as sales manager at Ericsson for the mobile internet area, which covers the applications and solutions for the mobile internet. And when we talk about the mobile internet, we're looking at the arena of people being able to use their cell phones for a lot more than they can use them today. We're looking at primarily two significant areas, and that is primarily your location-based services, as well as your time-sensitive and personalized information, which people will be able to get on their cell phones. That probably sounds quite complicated, but in other words, we want to try and empower people to be able to do a lot of the things that they possibly do on their PCs or possibly don't do at all through their cell phones. So
preferably not while they're driving.
Preferably not while they're driving. So we're looking at trying to enable people or empowering people to be able to have access to information that makes their lives easier. So we're looking at people having access to, let's say, flight times, being able to transfer money from one bank account to another bank account. But also, as I mentioned, the importance of this being location-based, so that if you're in a different place, that information will be significant to you, which I think differs a lot from the internet that it is today on the PC.
Okay. And Kobus, maybe you can comment, because this is where you fit in, on PricewaterhouseCoopers believes that mobile internet usage is a growing trend that they believe has an unlimited potential to change the face of business. What brought that comment about, and where do you fit in?
Well, Geniene, I think it comes from the requirement from our clients, quite frankly, because obviously the way that PricewaterhouseCoopers is structured is around particular industries, and we would look at what pressures are in fact current in terms of industries and what clients are trying to achieve in terms of shareholder value, which means making more money or decrease cost so that you have cash in pocket, and cash is king. So from that perspective, we took a view on what will allow clients to in fact extend their business beyond the boundaries of their current organization. And obviously one opportunity presented to them is in fact mobile. And our view on mobile is way beyond the cell phone, which by itself is just an access device with limited capability. We would in fact look at it in terms of where PDAs are evolving, which is the sort of personal desktop assistant, and also what you can do with a PC. In fact, your PC that you would lug around with you to, let's say, an international airport, and as you get off the plane, the last thing that you want is to try and find a telephone plug. What you do want to do is to switch on your PC and start work as you did before. So really, I think it comes from where clients are basically trying to reduce cost, increase revenue, and have information available anywhere, anytime. And it's where we would look at industry trends, on global trends, see what applies within the local market. And not only would we provide point of view positions on that in terms of future value, but also work, in fact, with suppliers of technology like Ericsson in order to demonstrate through Catalyst programs how that is, in fact, feasible.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is this mobile commerce or e-commerce? I'm dealing with it on a daily basis as well. When is mobile commerce going to become a reality? You say that it would be great if people can actually access the internet or access bank statements or banks by being on the airport and that sort of thing.
But I think we need to make something clear here, and I think it may apply in that WAP is obviously the way you go onto the internet using the cell phone screen. Then what Kobus was saying was you use your cell phone purely as the provider of the telecommunications for you to connect to your notebook and therefore see internet in its traditional format.
Well,
so there are two different areas
There's
here,
wireless as well, though.
Well, let's define what wireless actually means. I mean, we have different access devices. So you have a cell phone with its limitations because the screen is too small. It doesn't have the kind of ability to have an application physically on the phone. So what you could do in that regard is perhaps do the bank transfers, such as was announced between, let's say, Vodacom and ABSA, that will allow you to look up your bank balance, transfer some information, really basic services. Things
Is that using the screen on your cell phone?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And then you would want to progress beyond perhaps more sophisticated applications such as remote sales and remote maintenance, where perhaps another access device would be more feasible for that purpose.
Like a PDA? Like a
PDA, for example. And ultimately, it's a question of convenience, really, that's attached to what it is that you lug around.
Yeah.
In the case of your PC, really your PC is just there, for other applications that each have its limitations and opportunities. The screen is bigger on the PC, it's quicker, it's faster, but obviously it would need the means to communicate.
Yeah.
Now, and I think that's why it's important that we look at the three elements, which is I want information, which is the sort of content side, which we talked about. Then you have transmission, which is the stuff that sits in between.
That's right.
And that could be a GSM network, it could be a satellite network, it could be a radio network,
Right.
for example. And the access devices come in, 500 different formats, such as the excellent devices coming from Ericsson, for example.
Yeah.
I think what we need to establish at this stage is that we have to accept that we're going to have different stages in our day where we're going to be using different devices. And this will be happening certainly within the next few years, where you'll be sitting at work using your laptop. You will then maybe go into a phase of using your cell phone in between one station to another. Possibly when you get home, you may even have a PDA, which is your personal digital assistant. And I think people will have different devices for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And possibly that will start to change when people start to get more of a familiarity with different devices that will play more of an important role in their lives.
Will e-commerce drive that, in other words, as more and more companies drive towards more intense e-commerce, in other words, that they're putting their entire businesses on e-commerce, will that drive the type of technology that's needed for mobile technology? In other words, what's the value proposition for the client? Where does he start spending money and where does he stop spending money?
I think there's been a lot of talk in the market in this particular industry where we should not draw any comparisons between what is happening with e-commerce directly into the area of mobile commerce, primarily because it may not necessarily always be the same users that are going to go from the PC kind of situation into the mobile commerce situation. There certainly will be overlaps, but we're looking at a huge amount of new users that maybe will never go from a PC environment at all. Yet there will be people that will want to have access to news, that will want to have access to their bank balance, and possibly have never even used internet banking before. Because PCs are fairly prohibitory with regards to pricing, whereas a phone, because it has other uses of a more personal nature, such as phoning your family in a communication device, will have more scope in that area. So I think we can draw certain relationships, but I think it's going to be far more. The trends and the figures are a lot higher than your e-commerce.
Well, I think
scenarios.
if we sort of step back from the hype and e-commerce and everything else, the question is, I'm a consumer. Why would I need mobile? Okay, it's for convenience. It is because it actually serves a purpose in terms of my day-to-day business, either from a personal point of view, having the ability to, as I'm hopefully not driving, but as I need to book a ticket, I can do it. Okay, so it's that, I think, convenience factor always on all the time that is a driving factor. Nothing else. Technology is an enabler, and people will, chase technologies in. Originally, when you look at the cell phone, for example, the cell phone just used to be a trendy thing. Now it's accepted as a must-have. So purely chasing technology for the sake of technology is not serving any real business value, quite frankly. And people are looking for convenience, low-cost solutions, all those kind of good things, but ultimately to get access to the kind of services which they would not have access to in normal circumstances.
Okay, with Price Waterhouse traditionally being an auditing firm, which has now become Price Waterhouse, I think it was Coopers and Labrunt, and they merged. Where do you see yourselves fitting into e-commerce, mobile technology? Do suppliers come to you for advice? In other words, companies wanting to start e-commerce? Or does the user of e-commerce come to you for advice? In other words, which sector of the market do you give advice to?
Well, our responsibility is to our customers first and foremost, and for that I mean, on a global industrial basis. And what that actually means is that the clients trust us from our heritage to ensure that their money is well looked after, that their business are growing, that they get more customers on board, that obviously at the back end, people make money, and obviously that the risk associated with it is in fact looked at, which is also the case within the in-business sector. And all the activity from Pricewaterhouse is based around cash. Now, where we are positioned is from the tops down. So we would look at it from a shareholder value point of view, i.e. the ability to either make money or to decrease cost. And we would look at enablers that will allow clients to do that, whether it's a small business wanting to start up for the first time. We would help them with the advisory services around that, and then move on to how do you actually now enable your business through the use of technology once you've understood how you're going to make money. And that's where in-business really fits in. Now, we use terms like m-commerce and in-business quite loosely, and quite frankly, I don't think we have to be hung up about, whether it's commerce or business. It's actually irrelevant, because at the back end of it, it's actually the clear distinction. There's a pure definition is m-commerce is where you want to buy something, where cash is actually exchanged, right, and where money is involved. In-business is also the way in which you extend your current premises to either connect with that of your partners or connect with your customers.
And that's mobile commerce, essentially, if you look at the full...
I've actually heard a really interesting, slightly contradictory, for the first time, sort of vision of mobile commerce. And somebody said to me that you can even look at mobile commerce without the exchange of money. And where we see the exchange of money is with regards to information. Let's say you're online and you would like to know flight information, for example. Now remember, with GPRS coming in, which is your general package radio service, which enables you to be online, you pay for the information that you download.
That's right.
So let's say you're wanting to know when the next flight is. You are surfing and you have a look at the flight time. You're downloading information which is relevant to you, which is needed by you.
That's right.
So there is actually, let's say it's the mobile operator that is making money from that
Right.
downloading of information. But there is actually some form of a transaction
Action taking place.
because that information is of such value to you. So that is just one sort of slightly lateral way of thinking of the mobile commerce environment as well.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to go for a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the major challenges associated with the mobile sector. In other words, where you fit in. What challenges do e-commerce face? I'm Geniene Burbeck,
And I'm Alan Alfeld.
and this is Short Circuit, coming to you live from Radio 2000. Good morning, and you with Geniene Burbeck on 1485. So nice to be back with you. It's now 10:05. It's a Tuesday. It's a sort of mini Monday because yesterday was such a relaxed Monday. I think today will have to be Monday number 2. But today we're going to be chatting to Mel Miller. I don't know if you remember Mel Miller of Biltong and Potras fame. I used to watch him from the audience as a kid, and I used to be totally blown away by this amazing man and his ability to be so funny. And I've tracked his career sort of over the last couple of years, and at the moment he's appearing at the Outer Limits with a couple of other comedians. So we're going to get him on the line just now, and we're going to go say hi to him, and you'll understand why I still think Mel at 60 is still a phenomenal comedian. We're then going to talk to Lynn. I picked up a story in the paper with Lynn and Mandy and her mom Gertie. Her mom is 84 years old, still works for them. She keeps that whole office humming. They're involved in the distribution of magazines, which I think is a phenomenal idea. So we're going to be talking to Lynn. And then, of course, we've got Grant, who is from the Tans Cafe. Grant and I had a chat last week about what was going to be on at the Tans Cafe. I had the opportunity of visiting the cafe. It's a bit of a supper club, a bit of a club overall, but a very nice upmarket venue. And I bumped into his dad. Now, the interesting thing about his dad is from the Delians. So we're going to try and get him on the line, and we're going to talk to him about his fame and fortune with the Delians, and now he plays with Clout. We're going to be talking a bit to Dawn from Rand 8, who's got a function on at the Barnyard. It's going to be all the Irish ditties. It's going to be singing along, and Bob, who I've got here next to me, is going to be teaching us how to sing those Irish songs. I'm going to encourage him during the break to get going with that sort of wild, wild rover and all the Irish songs. And at some point during the day, we're just trying to confirm the time, we're going to be talking to Winex again. But one of the wine farms, in fact, that are going to be at Winex is going to tell us a bit about some of the award-winning wines, why you should be drinking wine. In fact, I can never understand why I have to drink wine. I just know I have to. I'm Geniene Burbeck, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to Mel Miller. That was Rita Coolidge with All Time High. I'm Geniene Burbeck for 1485, and on the line I have Mel Miller. Hi, Mel. Mel, are you there?
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm so well. I must tell you, I've missed you the last year. Where have you been?
I'm working, though.
Tell me what you've been doing.
Well, my foot is, I still talk nonsense for a living.
And I'll tell you, that's still the best thing to do. I don't know why you're not on radio yet.
Well, I don't think I've got the voice for radio. Are we on air?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
I think you've definitely got, in fact, I think you got the face for radio.
At least you don't have to dress fancy. That's the main thing.
That's very,
no, I
very
still
true.
talk rubbish for a living, my dog. 42 years, still talk nonsense. It's like being in Parliament. You talk crap and they pay you for it.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing. And
why aren't you a minister yet?
I beg pardon?
Why aren't you a minister yet?
Oh, no, doll. I can tell you something. I would be kicked out of Parliament in 4 minutes flat.
Is that because they write your
Because if
material
I
for
hear
you?
some guy talking rubbish, I just tell him that. You know what I mean?
Are they?
Out loud. You know what I mean? I've got a graphic design business I have as well.
And
where
how's
I
that
design
going?
things for people. And things are going lovely. My life is wonderful.
That's fantastic. And whereabouts, in which area do you cover for your
I live
newspaper?
in Warner Valley. I cover anywhere, dog.
That's wonderful.
Have you seen me lately? I'm so fat I cover the world.
I won't even go there, Mel.
Yeah.
So tell me about the show at Outer Limits.
Madel, stand-up comedy, you know.
Yes.
With Martin Jonas,
Yes.
Chris Forrest, and myself. 3 totally different styles. And it's going to be a great evening. It usually is great, but tonight, this Sunday is going to be especially great.
And when does it
Because
start?
there's 3 totally different styles. You know, Chris Forrest is deadpan, Martin Jonas is very observational, and I'm sort of hardcore.
And when does the show start, Mel?
It starts about 8 o'clock at night.
And is it kicking off on Sunday?
Yes, it starts on Sunday night at the Outer Limits. You know where that is?
That's in Broadacres, I believe.
That's right, yeah. You turn right at 4 ways, and you go out there, and it's there somewhere.
And it's near, I would imagine it's near the barnyard in Broadacres.
Yeah, sort of out that area, you know.
And how long
But
is the show running for?
About 2 hours, two and a half hours of solid comedy, you know.
So that means,
Which is great, you know. Get people end off your weekend with a good laugh.
so now what you have to do is you have to do at least 5 minutes of comedy now. We can't have you
I
on
mean,
the
what
air
not?
not telling us some comedy.
Oh, come on the radio anytime you want, right?
That would be wonderful. In fact, I think that's definitely something I'm going to discuss with the studio, and it would be great
Phone
if you
me
could
and
come.
we'll make arrangements.
That sounds just wonderful.
Savan.
Mel, it's been a pleasure. It's always a
Thanks,
pleasure to
my
talk
love.
to you on air. I look forward to seeing you at the Outer Limits, and I know the show is going to be wonderful if you're in it.
Okay, but we must get together and have coffee and then talk about it, okay?
It sounds wonderful. Where can they get tickets, Mel?
At the restaurant.
At the restaurant itself, the Outer
they
Limits.
serve great food. There's a bar and everything, so people can have a full night out there.
Well, I certainly look forward to hearing it. In fact, what I'm going to do is bring my recorder on Sunday so that I can play some of it back to listeners, so they
Oh, you
have to
coming
go.
on Sunday?
Yes, I wouldn't miss it for
Cool.
the world.
We'll talk then.
Mel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much
Lovely.
for coming on air.
Thanks, my dog.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye.
I'm Geniene Burbeck, and you're back on 1485, and that was Ron Moss and Amore. It's so easy. Thank you so much for joining me on this lovely morning. It really, really is a lovely morning. I don't know what it's like out your way, but the sun is certainly shining above our garden shop, which is a view that I see outside the window. We've just had a chat to Mel Miller, who's probably one of my favorite people. When you meet him on his own, he just bubbles personality, and I just can't imagine life without Mel. So we're certainly going to have him back after we've seen his show at the Outer Limits on Sunday. Now, next with me on air is an interesting person. I read a story in the Four Ways Review about 3 generations that work together. Mom is 84. We then have the daughter Lynn, and we have her daughter Mandy, and they work together in a magazine business. And the magazine business sounded so interesting, especially with Mom at 84, Gertie, keeping the whole system together. And with me on the line now, I have Lynn, her daughter. Hi, Lynn.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So tell me about the generation thing and about the business and how it was formed, and how did you girls all decide to work together?
Man, Geniene, you know, because the business that we're in is just such a win-win and happy, and everybody just seems to be so blessed by what we do, that the most obvious is that our family can be blessed with us as well. And, you know, the business was started about 16, 17 years ago, when I've always sold advertising space for non-profitable type organizations, and obviously we need circulation, we need exposure of our titles to basically warrant the advertising rate. And I realized many years ago that there was a need in the market for reception areas to have lovely glossy magazines, especially your doctors, as you know.
As reading last year's You just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, you're right. And so it was a win-win for everyone. The publishers get a huge additional awareness to their titles. The advertisers are reaching a huge additional circulation over and above their ABC figures. The clients are getting these beautiful magazines. We feel that we're promoting literature in a world where people can't really afford the luxury of magazine reading. So we get the magazines as they come off the shelf, magazines that would otherwise be shredded, you know. So
But you know
we're
what?
giving a new life to our whole new product.
So tell me something. If I walked into your store, or let's say your offices, do you have the sort of a bookstore with a difference where I walk in and there's just different titles of every magazine I can possibly imagine in the store?
You could say that.
So tell me, I can come there and have Christmas.
You could come here and have Christmas.
I can't imagine anything nicer.
No. And you know, we're very strong on sponsorship, where we give companies the opportunity to spread these beautiful magazines around with a lovely goodwill or social responsibility opportunity for companies to take causes like Tara and Boys Town and the old age homes, where people will just never be exposed to these beautiful magazines, and then companies can sponsor needy causes. So theoretically, we could get magazines out to every corner of the country if companies realize the value of spreading these magazines around.
And I think one thing we just need to reiterate is the fact that these magazines are not old. In other words, they have not been read by somebody else.
They're 1 week off the shelf.
They simply come off the shelf from not being sold and are just sent off to Lynn, and Lynn then redistributes them. So they're brand new magazines. They still have their bags. If they came in a bag, they would still be in a bag.
And Geniene, you won't believe, but my mom is 84 years old, that she can phone companies like Geniene and Goldfields and tell them the value of these beautiful magazines. Would they like to sponsor needy causes? And in her own little way, she's so valuable still, because when she speaks to the corporates, they can hear her heart, because she's in a typical situation where she certainly can't afford to buy these beautiful magazines.
And yet she's able to have them sponsored for old age homes, for JAFTA.
She's on the phone, she's phoning up the big companies, speaking to the social investment department, and she's absolutely amazing. We all have a passion for this business, Geniene.
I think that's wonderful. And you know what's really nice is to see big business sponsoring old age homes, JAFTA, because we're involved with JAFTA and a lot of the old age homes. And I'd love to see big business, whoever out there who's listening, who's a big business or a medium-sized business, because it's not that expensive.
No.
Get hold of Lynn. For whoever gets hold of Lynn, I will be able to talk to them on radio, because I want to know why you did it and who you gave it to. So you'll get free airtime just for doing such a good job and for doing
Geniene,
a good service.
I must just tell you, for the companies, we put a sticker on the magazine, and it's such a wonderful way of spreading a social responsibility message. Eskom, for example, on electricity savings, and you know, you're talking to people in reception areas that are sitting there waiting to pass the time by, and huge messages could go out on the covers of these magazines.
Now tell me, where can people get hold of you, Lynn?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll give my cell number or my office number.
Give both if you don't mind.
082-851-6275 is my cell, and 467-9296 is our little office where the whole family works from.
And the name of the company?
It's Reception Services, and it's based in Fourways.
If you
and
need
by
to
the
get
way,
hold.
we are national, Geniene.
Fantastic.
We can send magazines out to the darkest corner of Africa, and we've got a very good distribution chain in place, so we can send these magazines out anywhere.
So listeners, remember, Reception Services, they carry magazines, anything from the specialist magazine like The Fly Fisherman, right across to The Cures, The Roy Rist, The Woman in Home, any of the general titles right through to specialist titles. Lynn will put them together, she'll mix them, she'll give you a nice mix. So those of you who are wanting to sponsor, especially our JAFTA and old age homes, please call us now. If you don't get the number, remember our studio number, 88000369. Speak to Jackie, he'll give you Lynn's telephone number, web address, cell number. Lynn, I can't tell you how nice it was to talk to you. Thank you so
Geniene,
much.
and I'm so glad the article reached your heart.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Lynn.
very much for your time.
It's a pleasure. And say hi to Mom.
Hello, I will. Hello, Mom. Geniene says hi. Thank you, Geniene.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye.
Okay, bye.